Hello and welcome to the NCAA Division III Student Athlete Advisory Committee Mental and Physical Health Subcommittee podcast series. I'm here today with Wes Landon, the head strength and conditioning coach at Vermont State University Castleton. Wes, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, like Zach just said, my name is Wes. I'm the strength and conditioning coach at Castleton campus. I have my undergrad in health science, and I do have my master's degree in athletic leadership, as well as CSCS certification through the NSCA, which is what you need to work at a college campus.
Cool, thank you, Wes. So in your role, you're dealing with a lot of different student athletes and going through with a lot of different training programs. Can you tell me about the priorities that you place on your training for your student athletes to improve their overall physical health, both within and outside of their sport performance?
Yeah, so the main role of a strength coach is to, or at least my philosophy, is to make sure that athletes get playing time and minutes because they are not injured. So a lot of programs are based on like injury prevention, but you still need to make people strong. And my overall goal is to give the coach the hardest time possible making a lineup because everyone's healthy. And by doing that, it's just a healthier way to view athletes, because if they're injured, they don't get to play their sport. And I don't want people being injured. They can be banged up, but if they're on the IR or something or not participating, it's just not a good place to be if you're an athlete.
So our number one priority, as you said, your number one priority is improving overall injury prevention for student athletes currently while they're in their time as a student athlete at Castleton. Is there anything within your training that you try and tailor to be able to give them the opportunity to continue to remain uninjured and healthy and just physically active from their time after they're done being an athlete?
So when I get a freshman athlete, and even when people come in on tours, I explain to them the amount of time you're going to spend with the strength coach is about a full semester's worth of credits. And if I can't teach you in a full semester's worth of credits spread out through 4 years how to train yourself, then I did a very bad job as a strength coach. And I would love to say that I can prevent every injury from happening, but that's impossible to do. A lot of athletes come in very injured, and my goal is to teach them how to train themselves with their injury, because a lot of those injuries never get fixed. And a lot of athletes that get injured in college, it doesn't really go away 100%. So when they leave here, they should know how to train themselves around their injuries so they don't hurt themselves again. Because once you're out of college, the strength and conditioning is added into tuition. They essentially get me for free if you look at it that way. If they are not in college, personal training is very expensive. And if you need it 2 to 4 days a week for a year, it can be thousands of dollars. And freshly graduated students don't really have a lot of money. So they can barely afford a gym membership. So if I can teach them throughout 4 years how to train themselves properly, they shouldn't need to hire a personal trainer. They should hopefully remember and be able to do it themselves.
Yeah, and you say that obviously a lot of athletes are coming in, not maybe a lot, but some athletes are coming in injured, and throughout the time that they're with you, obviously there's different injuries that come in and out. Tell me, what are some of the most prominent injuries that you see just within different muscle groups, and what do you think that athletes are struggling with the most nowadays, and maybe even what do you think causes that within the different sports that you train?
There's a lot of answers to that question. The main ones are, the worst ones I'm getting now are 18-year-olds that have had back surgery, and that's not a good thing. They'll be in chronic pain probably the rest of their life. But the most common things are just simple posture corrections that I need to do when people have flat feet or rounded shoulders or weak cores, weak hamstrings. All that stuff is just because they sit a lot and they aren't as active as people were 20 years ago, because technology is way more entertaining now, where you can sit inside and binge watch shows or play on your phone when you're bored instead of doing other things. like going outside and doing like having adventures or using your imagination for your whole life, when a lot of kids by the age of 8 or 9 are already watching too much TV and sitting too much in school and texting too much and playing on their phone and playing video games. They're not as active as they were, even though they think they are. So, I mean, I know a lot of the other common injuries are just when you're in high school, you're more expandable. You can get hurt and recover a lot faster than you can in college, and way faster than you can as an adult. Where I'm getting a little older and I can fall over skiing or something and it hurts a lot more than it did when I was younger. So a lot of these injuries people get in high school, they can kind of feel better in 2 weeks, but they didn't fix it. And then it will just creep back and hurt them again 5 years later when they're a junior in college, and it's harder to recover from that. And a lot of the training people get in high school isn't the best. They try, but a lot of high school systems don't have proper strength coaches. They don't have the resources with athletic trainers and PTs and chiros and doctors and all this stuff to keep people healthy. They just kind of, if you're good to go, you're good to go. Look at how concussions have changed in the last 15, 20 years, where you get a concussion on a Friday football game and you could play the next day, where now you're out for weeks. So it's going in the right direction, but it's not perfect yet. It still has a ways to go.
Yeah, and we're talking about all of these different experiences that student athletes are having that are causing them to get injured both in high school and in college. And now, obviously, there's a big mental toll that takes on athletes. I know myself, I've been injured plenty of times where I have to miss competitions, and there's a serious mental toll there. How do you, within your training, help student athletes kind of take on that mental challenge of being injured and the whole mental challenge of the rehabilitation process and just trying to get healthy again after being injured for such a long time? How do you, in your training, incorporate some positive mental health experiences to be able to keep athletes motivated and keep their mental health in a positive state while they're injured?
Well, on a physical aspect, so if someone tears their knee, it's unfortunate. Like if they tear an ACL, is a very common thing. Very common, like it happens. It's just chance most of the time. It's just bad luck. And if that happens, yeah, you can't go play your sport, but in my world, you have one bad leg. You still have another good leg and 2 good arms. So on a big mental aspect, where I can still have them work out with their team, which means they are still participating physically with their teammates, which mentally I think is great, because if they go to practice, it's not as glamorous. They're probably sitting on a bench watching everyone play a sport that they love, which is not mentally fun to do. So on my end, I can get them in extra days. I can make them feel part of a team, any team. They can come in whenever they want and work out with whatever team they want. If they can come in with their team, cool. If they want to come in with other teams because they want extra days, then fine, I can let them in. And I treat them like they just have a bum leg. I don't baby them. I can still give people really good workouts with missing a leg or can't use my arm or my back hurts. It just takes time and experience to be able to come up with workouts that are still challenging so people can sweat, get their heart rate up, things that relieve stress and anxiety. Whereas if you are hurt and you don't work out, then nothing good is happening. You're not participating in your sport, you're not burning energy. That's when, not only on the mental side, that's when people can gain a lot of weight, because they're probably eating the same as they were as an active athlete, but they're not expending as much energy as they were, not even close. So you see a lot of athletes that are inactive after being injured, they gain a lot of weight. Now they have that to deal with on top of they can't play their sport. Now they gained weight, which they weren't trying to do, which is another mentally, like a mental health issue that a lot of people have. It's a body issue thing. It's all this other stuff that you can just add in, where it's as simple as saying, all right, well, you tore your knee 2 weeks ago. Cool. Come and work out. You can start the rehab process right now. As long as they haven't had surgery yet, you can still start doing rehab on the messed up leg. Once they do surgery, then they'll go to physical therapists and then the athletic trainers. It's all support staff until they're back in my world. And again, that's just working on the messed up leg. I can still work on their full body. They can come in a week after surgery and do upper body stuff. It gets tricky when it comes to concussions. I can't have people in the weight room. And if people are like ill or have colds and stuff, I also can't have them in the weight room. But those are the only two things where you shouldn't be in the weight room. Everything else you do to your body, I can figure out a workout for you and give you something to do so you're feeling active. And like I said, sweating, all that stuff will relieve certain stresses in life. So that's how I can do that compared to their head coach. And that's just on the physical end of things. The mental side of a lot of sports for even healthy athletes is I am a buffer between them and everything they're complaining about. You can view me as a hairdresser or someone that, like, not a psychiatrist, but I am there a couple hours a week. What am I going to do with it? I get vented to a lot.
Yeah, athletes come in and complain about what's going on.
They come in and complain about anything in their life. The main ones are how their sport team's doing, how practice is annoying, how their coach is annoying, how they don't like these teammates. And I can sit there and listen to it, and I listen to both ends of it. And I just sit there and nod, and I can give my 2 cents here and there, but I never have an impact on what I say. Nothing I say is going to make they're not going to have a heart oh, wow, yeah, I hate your coach too. I don't say stuff like that. If they're frustrated with their coach, I just listen and say, wow, that sounds tough. Or I can say, this is probably why they're doing that. Does that make sense? People like to complain these days. And a lot of people do complain, and that's pretty much all they do is complain. And I don't know anyone that likes to listen to people complain. But the atmosphere I have in my weight room, there's loud music. They can vent to me, and then they can go do some exercises, and now they're venting and they're working out. They should leave a little relieved.
Yeah.
And on the deeper end of that, a head coach should be like a parent figure. I know you guys are all adults. Anywhere from 17 to some of our older athletes are 25, 6.
Yeah.
But the average is going to be 18 to 21,
right.
22. You guys are adults, but you're still kids in my eyes. I'm not that much older than you guys, but you're still college kids. That's why it's called college kids and not college adults.
Yeah.
Where you are making your way into adulthood, but you're not with your parents. You're not with some of your high school friends. You're making new friends. Small campus, big campus, it doesn't matter. People have issues in their life, and their head coach should be the parental figure. And if their head coach is not filling that role, people like me, people like some advisors, athletic trainers, not only does it turn into venting, it turns into an actual therapy session where I've had people, just guys, girls, walk into my office and start crying, and I have to do something. I'm not a sports psychologist or anything like that, but I do from time to time have to step in and let people cry in my office. Tell them that it's okay to go home and get it out, and they can always come back later, or they can come back tomorrow or whenever, or take the week off. And it's anything from bad issues at home to my dog just got put down, to my girlfriend just broke up with me, to I miss my family, to my grandparents aren't doing well, they're in the hospital, to I live 2,000 miles away. Some athletes live at home, some athletes never get to go home. Where I've had people from Europe that, I don't get to go home for a year. I'm 19. So I'm just an extra resource extension where kids can come use me. I have a relationship with all of the athletes, and I treat all the athletes the same, where it's, I respect you, you respect, it's very cliche, but I can do it with 500 people.
Right.
Compared to the 30 people on my team, that's different. I don't start and sit people. I don't tell people they're not playing. I don't call the plays in a football game. I don't make the lineups in basketball. I don't do any of that. Everyone gets the same amount of playing time, the same reps, everyone gets treated the same in the weight room. So get a little bit different relationship with everyone compared to their head coach.
Yeah.
Where hopefully, I mean, I can be stern in my training where people won't like me that session, but there's always a reason why I'm like that. I don't just do it for no reason. Where people should all kind of feel the same about me. And it's not like, oh yeah, I love Wes. It's, no, Wes is good. Like everyone should think I'm like good, because there's way too many people to impress to make everyone love me.
Yeah.
But if everyone hated me, then like no one's gonna come work out.
Right.
I'm mostly voluntary stuff anyway. You can't force them to work out.
Yeah.
But that's how I do that on more of like the mental side. And then I already explained the physical side of stuff. So hopefully between all of that stuff, it can set them kind of figure their stuff out in college, and then when they graduate they can take maybe a couple lessons that I give come along with everything else they learned, and hopefully not forget it.
And continuing to try and stay healthy after they're done at Castleton and graduate. That's really some valuable insights that a lot of people don't see from the mental side of strength and conditioning, that you are able to be a resource for people and be unbiased for them, and just be able to listen. So thank you for doing that for our athletes. And thank you again for taking the time to join us on this episode of the NCAA Division III Student Athlete Advisory Committee's Mental and Physical Health Subcommittee. Again, this is Wes Landon, the head strength and conditioning coach at Vermont State Castleton. I am Zach Durr, the NCAA Division III SAAC representative for the Little East Conference. Thank you again for taking the time to join us. And
that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you to our audience.